Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
Brought to you by GlanbiaConnect.com.
Hello and welcome to Farmview. Well, it's Kieran O'Connor here, back again in the hot seat with your weekly farming programme. Firstly, this week I want to thank Ollie for doing such a fine job and looking after the show over the past few weeks. Much appreciated. Well, in this week's programme, once again I have a packed show for you. I'll discuss the importance of soil nutrition programme and its role to improve environmental sustainability. Ballymacarbery milk supplier John Moore will tell us all about switching to once-a-day milking, and we'll hear all about the success of Operation Biodiversity in County Waterford from horticulturalist Malachy Doherty.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.
And before I introduce you to our first guest on this week's Farmview, I want to express my deepest sympathies and belated sympathies to the Toomey and Spratt families on the recent passing of Derry Toomey, formerly of Cloncurdan and Kappa. Derry was firstly a real gent, great family man, and a man who made a huge impact to the agri and farming sector as well as the wider community in West Waterford and beyond. He embraced change in farming and was always inspirational from a young age, from being one of the founding members of Macra Firma in County Waterford to his huge involvement in Dungarvan Co-op and later Waterford Co-op's advisory committee and boards. He was also a key figure, along with former CEO Stephen O'Connor, in Dungarvan Co-op in the 60s, becoming the first co-op in Ireland to install bull tanks, something Derry was very proud of. Indeed, just last year he made a huge contribution and was a tremendous help with the Dungarvan Co-op on its legacy 100-year book, and indeed his on-stage interview with me was one of the highlights of a very successful book launch. Derry was a man I always enjoyed meeting. He was always so positive and always great crack. You always came away feeling much better from meeting Derry Toomey. Ar yesterday, go river on him. Well, last October we spoke to Glanbia Ireland's horticulturist at the Country Life store in Dungarvan, of course that's Malachy Doherty, about Operation Biodiversity, where their aim in Glanbia Ireland is to plant 100,000 trees and hedging, helping Ireland's flora and fauna to thrive. Big ambitious target there, but I decided this week to go back to Country Life in Dungarvan and speak to Malachy himself to find out how well this Operation Biodiversity is progressing. First of all, Malachy, I interviewed you last October. What type of response have you had since then?
Since our interview there in October, actually, Kieran, there's been a fabulous reaction to it. Following week after the interview was released there, we had upwards of 10 farmers come in and bought quite large packages to do kind of large stretches of hedgerow, and from there on up until Christmas we sold, up until that point anyway, we had sold well over 8,000 individual plants. You know,
that's fantastic. Also, of course, you're doing hedgerow and trees, so it's a combination of both, or do you find farmers go for one or the other?
Some farmers may just go for hedging mixes only, but we find that the majority actually go for the mixed bundle, which is basically trees and hedgerows in the right proportions, you see, and there's no guesswork then. Each bundle does actually 100 feet or about 30 metres in length, and it works out about €45 for all those trees, so it's actually great value really.
The whole area of sustainability and the whole biodiversity mission that's out there now, as a farmer said to me there last year and I interviewing him, he said his dad was paid years ago to take out trees and hedgerows. Now it's the opposite, but farmers have really bought into the whole concept.
They have. In fairness, the reaction we've had has been people are genuinely interested in it, you see, and I believe that people are wanting to do the good thing now and try and help out wildlife a little bit, you see, and give us a little bit of habitat back, because I think things maybe went too far the other way, you know.
So hedgerow bundles, you mentioned there's a special offer running now and you're hoping to get up to 100,000 trees planted by the end of February, which you tell me is now a key period the next 3 weeks.
That's right. Up until the end of February is the planting time, so ideally, and before the season gets too busy as well, that people might come into us, and if they wish to order, go ahead. We can get it delivered in usually within 5 working days, so if you want, you can prepare the ground now, get it ready, but ideally before the end of February.
And as regards advice, obviously there's yourself here, horticulturist at Country Life in Dungarvan, you've Kieran Delahunty at Country Life in Kilmeaden. It's pretty straightforward, so if guys have any queries about how to go about it, because you told me in the last interview it's pretty straightforward, particularly planting the hedgerows.
It is really. Anyone that's unsure can certainly ask myself or Kieran, and then we also have on Glanbia Connect, we have a tutorial videos really of how to do it, basically, you know, and it's quite easy, and I wouldn't use that, I would hope that it wouldn't discourage people, you know what I mean, that it's quite an easy thing to do really.
Well, Malachy, I'm delighted to hear that the whole concept was a fantastic idea, Operation Biodiversity, with an aim to plant 100,000 trees and hedgerow plants in the catchment area. And delighted it's going so well, particularly down here in Waterford. And as you say, if people want any more detail on it, contact yourself here, Malachy Doherty in Country Life in Dungarvan, or indeed the Garden Centre in Kilmeaden, where you have Kieran Delahunty of Country Life in Kilmeaden. Malachy, listen, thanks for talking to us once again. Delighted it's going so well. And as you said, the next 3 weeks are key for this whole area of Operation Biodiversity.
Very good, Kieran. Thanks very much.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com, Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
Well, the 4th annual Once a Day Milking Conference took place recently. Obviously, it was an online Zoom conference, but one man involved in Once a Day Milking, would you believe, coming into his 4th year, is Ballymacarbery milk supplier, and that's John Moore of Deer Park. John, welcome to our programme.
Thanks, Kieran.
John, Once a Day Milking, first of all, why and when did you get involved? I know it's your 4th year, but why did you decide to get involved?
I suppose the first reason was it was the structure of the farm. A lot of walking involved to get to the two outside parts of it, and we were walking cows too much. We were losing too much milk in energy loss every day. From the farthest point is well, at the time it was 2 kilometres. It's 3 kilometres now because they're on once a day. But it was mainly that reason. We were killing our cows walking on pats all day long.
And obviously, of course,
that was the main driver.
Exactly, and I suppose with a walk like that, you're getting into leg problems and a lot of hoof care problems and lameness and whatever. Also, of course,
That's
the
right,
lifestyle one as well, I suppose, was part of it. Most people at the outside looking in would think it would be a lifestyle driven by a lifestyle choice.
Actually, there is benefits, but it wasn't really the lifestyle choice for us. We were able to increase cow numbers by moving to more blocks of land, which I suppose helped neutralise some of that beef exposure, really. We just felt that we were getting more value out of our ground by having a dairy cow, obviously, on it. And look at, I suppose, lifestyle choice. It probably would have been a great idea when I was playing football and hurling that. I'd had my evenings myself, but look, it wasn't. Lifestyle choice has its benefits, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, but it wasn't the main driver for us. There is no doubt there is lots of benefits being on the once a day. You can just, there's no pressure on your day to start a job or anything like that, or when you want to finish, or finish at 3 o'clock if you want. There's definitely benefits, all right.
Now, John, I know your late dad, Christy, of course, and yourself were in partnership, and then since he's passing and you taking over, the whole concept of going to once a day milking, a lot of people from your dad's era and myself personally as well, and a lot of people in the industry felt that this wouldn't work. There was a lot of people, there were a lot of doubters about once a day, but I know Brian Hillard did huge work from a Teagasc point of view, and indeed I know one of your neighbours as well was involved in once a day milking. So was that what convinced you that this can work?
Yeah, well, I would have seen my neighbour here beside me, Donald Laughlin. He has a hill walking. I have to walk up a hill as well, and he was doing quite well on it, and he had good figures for it. Like there is you have a lot higher solids and everything. Like there is an advantage. It's not a total loss. Like look, some people thought I was gone mental, or I was maybe just gone too lazy, especially when it was just the year after the year of my father dying, that maybe he's just not into milking cows or that. But it wasn't at all like that. I was able to go up more numbers, walk to the outblocks, and it just suited the farm really. And
right.
There's big benefits for fertility and everything as well. Like you have a lot better healthier cow involved.
I know, speaking to Gillian O'Sullivan there a couple of years ago, of course, and she won Farmer of the Year. It's a huge achievement. I once a day milker as well, Gillian from Colligan. She made the point that the first couple of years, the transition is the difficult one. So anyone might think on the outside, yeah, once a day milking, great idea. But the first 2 or 3 years are really, the transition is really the difficult one. And it's the one, if you can get over, then you can really get the benefits from it. We were probably thinking about it with a year or two before that. So we were breeding the cows were in calf to the calves, or the stock that were suited to once a day. We had kind of maiden heifers on the ground, and let's say coming into the herd as well, which lessened the blow. Like I do think there's a good bit of planning to be done. I don't think it's something that you jump into just because you decide in February that like there is consequences to going on the once a day financially as well. Like first year is tough. Like you have to find out about your cows that are suited to it, and obviously the ones that are not suited to it. Right.
They have to be culled. So like there is a balancing act to be got.
And is breeding a huge part of it, John? Getting the breed right.
Yeah, I feel it is now. For me, the Jersey Cross cow suited the system because she was a hardy cow. She's which is the big thing too. She's an efficient cow for me, low cost, and the solids are coming with her.
Right.
She's a hardy cow to go up and down them hills, very little lameness, and the fertility is good. So, like, I do think that they are the cow for the system. But there is lads doing it with Holstein Friesians too, and I'd say I'm definitely doing a great job with it. But I don't think they'd suit me. Definitely going up the hill, I have to go up and definitely walk the 3 kilometres. And 3 kilometres one way, so... If you had to do that, it'd be 12 kilometres a day if to do twice.
Huge, really, yeah. And that was a big point in you making your decision. As regards the lifestyle and the change that it makes, so have you a set time every day, or does it allow you vary the milking times, or how does that work, and who else actually helps you on the farm?
Yeah, I have my mother helps me here, especially around this time in February, March, helps me out with the paperwork and all that kind of stuff with registering calves and that. I also have a young lad here from Dungarvan, Patrick Riley's name.
Good.
He's here now full time now. No, we still like doing our cows, and we bring in our cows for 6 o'clock milking in the morning, and we like to get that job out. We now had an old parlour, so it was a bit longer milking cows. It used to take us to 3 hours milking, but now we've installed a new parlour there this year. So
how many units are you working on now?
We put in a 20-unit dairy master parlour, so we hope that will definitely speed up things. It's stall work for 24 for future.
So, John, so obviously you needed to expand the parlour, and you told me before we came in here you're up to around 190 cows, which is a big herd. John, as regards the from a lifestyle point of view, or somebody listening from a lifestyle point of view, obviously I know you're retired and you're a very successful player with the Nair and won several county medals with the Nair, and indeed hurling with 4 Mile Water. As regards the lifestyle, and indeed you have a young family, has that really been a big benefit? There's
lots of benefits. Sure, like you're gone there most of the day if you're milking twice a day. I know some people are milking. I notice now milking a lot earlier in the evening, but you still have a fair cohort of people that are milking at 5 o'clock in the evening. They're in till 7:30. There, most of them are even 8 o'clock. Like you haven't much time left in the day for your family at that rate. I do think there's lots of benefits. For people now that have no one coming behind them, and there's no point in killing themselves. Right. I definitely think there's an option for them, especially if they like to stay farming and they like to keep the ground right and look after it. I think there's definitely a good option for them. It's not a loss-making exercise, like it's not.
So, John, obviously,
it definitely is the way to go.
You mentioned the first couple of years are the difficult ones, and are your solids and your results overall back to where you'd expect to be when you were doing twice a day?
Yeah, well, I suppose my numbers have been up, but I'm back up to where I'm increasing every year on year, with about between 10 and 15% every year. And sure, if I keep that going, like I'll reach my targets. But I kind of set little targets every year, not to be trying to pull myself straight back up to the first year where you were on twice a day. It's not, you just won't do that straight away. I give it a 5-year kind of a process, so that I give myself a target in 5 years to have a cow up to 400 kilos of milk solids. And
so far so good,
as
they say.
I'm trying to get a cow that's efficient in weight as well. I don't want big cows, like small cows that'll do their body weight in milk solids. Okay. That's what I suppose that's my goal, really.
Well, John, I'm delighted here. It's been such a success. I know, speaking to Brian Hillard, he speaks loudly of the way that you have developed, and as you mentioned, your neighbour was a big influence as well. But overall, the once-a-day milking, the guys who got involved, speaking to Brian earlier in the week, he said there's up to 30 guys involved in once-a-day milking now in our region. I know nationally, I think there's over 200. John Moore of Deer Park, Ballymac. John, listen, thanks for taking the call. The best of luck. I know it's a busy time. You're busy there calving, and just before we came on air there, you were just after calving a cow there in Ballymacarbery. Listen, John, thanks for taking a call. Best of luck to you, your mum, and all involved in the once-a-day milking system out there in Ballymacarbery. John, thanks for taking our call.
No problem. Thanks very much. Thank you again.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com, Ireland's biggest online farming shop and more.
Well, the whole area of soil fertility and soil health has never been more important, particularly in this whole area of sustainable farming. And one area within all of that, of course, is the Glanbia Soil Nutrition Programme, which has been set up. And tell us all about the Soil Nutrition Programme and the important role that it plays. We're joined from Glanbia, Ireland, by their ruminant business manager in the East Waterford, and that's Brian Hart. Brian, welcome to our programme.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Thanks for having me on.
Brian, the Soil Nutrition Programme, really, what was the whole aim of this? I know it's a very important area, but the idea of you launching the Soil Nutrition Programme.
The ultimate aim of the Soil Nutrition Programme, Kieran, is to provide farmers with an up-to-date nutrient management plan that allows for both maximum grass growth while also ensuring optimum soil health and best environmental practices.
Obviously, at the ploughing over the last number of years, there was a big push on the whole area of soil tests, because without soil tests, and speaking to Cathal Summers there from ASSAP as well, the whole area without a soil test, really people can't do anything about their nutrition to find out, first of all, the actual results from their soil test.
Definitely, and it's something we've been pushing over the last number of years, more and more so, because we're seeing such a benefit from the guys that were actively doing it every number of years. And there's definitely no doubt the benefit, and sure, with all the regulations coming down, it's obviously going to be essential to have your soils completely balanced and healthy to get the optimum results out.
One area as well that has come to the fore in the last number of years, and a lot of people have kind of moved away from it, is the whole area of lime and soil, and that seems to be a key area within this whole soil nutrition.
Yeah, definitely, and even within our own soil nutrition programme, it's actually the first part of what we look at in the nutrient management plan when we get the entire farm soil samples. Very first part that we look at, because it's often the cheapest and the easiest part of the nutrient management plan to address. But I would also say there has, in the last number of years, with the greater amount of soil sampling taking place, there is a greater awareness of the importance of lime, and there's definitely more and more of it gone out over the last number of years.
Of course, there's been a big swing at people looking at their whole fertiliser programme. A lot of guys year on year did literally the same thing with their NPKs or the like of pasture sward and cut sward and all of these, and obviously the whole turn to protected urea. So within all of that, the important role of guys getting the right type of fertiliser to suit their personal requirements.
Definitely, and obviously without the soil results you can't know what exactly you want, but I would also add to that point as well, Kieran, and our own nutrient management plan looks at very closely, is before you start looking at the compounds, is what slurry and what farmyard manure you actually have on the farm, and how much of that can actually solve the problems and the shortfalls that you actually have. But again, as you say, you have to have all the samples taken and tested before you actually know. But yes, definitely there is a far more tailored range of fertilisers being used on farm today to target the areas that need either a little bit more potash or phosphorus, or just maybe even a straight nitrogen or protected urea.
Have all of this improved over the last number of years, even down to GPS tracking? And what type of role has that played in the whole area?
The role of GPS tracking is massive, both within fertiliser spreading and even within our own soil nutrition programme. When we send a member of our team out to the farm to sample, take soil samples, they're actually GPS mapping the whole farm. So you're actually getting back, as well as your soil samples, a full GPS map of your entire farm, fully colour-coded for lime, P and K. But yeah, the technology has come on leaps and bounds, and in recent years, and especially with, say, the precision application of fertiliser, it's becoming more and more important.
As regards the soil nutrition programme, is it a case of I go out, get my soil samples done, or you coordinate the soil sampling, results come back, and then you make out a programme? Is that for that season, that year, or is it for a couple of years, or is it year on year you have to keep repeating this?
Well, we'd be hoping what it would be the start of a process that you build up a record, because all your soil nutrition programme, your nutrient management plan, your soil results will all be available on your Glanbia Connect. And what we'd be able to hope is that over a number of years that we build up a record there, so we'd be able to go back and see that, say, 3 years ago we were a little bit low phosphorus in here, and we built it up that way. Definitely for going back to your question on what's the best way of getting the soil samples, it really depends, Kieran.
Right.
Like, we can organise someone to come out and take the samples for you and fully GPS map the entire farm. If guys have, say, samples there that are fairly relevant within the last year, we can get them and input them into the nutrient management plan. There is a number of different options there. You could even go out and take them yourself if you so wanted. But yeah, there's definitely a number of options there to get the soil results before we can put them into the nutrient management plan.
Speaking to Cathal Summers from ASSOP, who's been a huge programme, particularly on water quality right across Waterford, be it in the Dungarvan area in West Waterford, up around Tallow, around Rathcormac, Clonea, and also down around the Galtier area. The quality in water quality and good soil nutrition and good soil nutrients and nutrient management is definitely a key to keeping that good water quality, which is required now across all areas.
Yeah, I think all the research would kind of point in the direction that if your soil is fully balanced and fully healthy, that it is actually able to hold the nutrients and avail of the nutrients that you're putting on it from either farmyard manure or compound fertiliser. So I think the key message in that is that the soil needs to be fully balanced and healthy.
So Brian, just to recap, obviously the soil nutrition programme, it's up and running. If guys want to get involved, obviously it's open to all all enterprise, be it dairy, suckler, beef, tillage, you name it, if they want to get involved in this programme. So who should they contact, or what's the best way to get more information?
Well, you can either go to Glanbia Connect, or you could contact your local branch or business manager is probably the best way to get the information. And we'd be able to fill out any of the forms and talk you through all the relevant steps.
Brian Hart, Ruminant Business Manager for East Waterford. Brian, listen, thanks for the update on that. I'm delighted you're getting such a good uptake on the soil nutrition programme. Best of luck for the remainder of the season. Thanks a million, Brian.
Thanks a million, Kieran. Thank you.
Just before I go, a reminder about our marts. Of course, our marts are now up and running, albeit with strict COVID restrictions protocols and with no ringside sale for buyers and sellers, with all sales now online. This Saturday, Waterford Ross Mart in your Ross, cattle from 9:30 and calf sales from 10, while on Monday is Dungarvan cattle and calf sales every Monday morning from 11 o'clock. Remember, all sales are now online, livestocklive.com. Also, of course, on the racing front, we had a great week again for local Waterford connections. Cross-channel, Kappa Jock Tom Quealy had 2 fine winners at Kempton and Wolverhampton, while belated congrats to Dungarvan jocks, brothers Sean and Niall Houlihan, on a brilliant day at Plumpton, with Sean riding a winner and younger brother Niall recording a fantastic double. A day to remember for the lads who are doing us proud cross-channel. Back home, young Tremor trainer John Flavin, sadly his very first winner at Clonmel recently, he recorded back-to-back wins with victory at Gordon Park last week and followed up this week with a winner at Dundalk. What a start to his training career. Also at Dundalk, Cormac trainer Pat Flynn was again back in the winners' enclosure, while at Naas, Knockeen Butlerstown trainer Henry de Bromwich kept up his great run of winners with a fine double at Naas last weekend. So great week all round for local Waterford connections. Well, that's my lot for this week's programme. Once again, my thanks to Ollie and Sean with all their help in putting this week's programme together. So stay safe, keep up the protocol, and hopefully I'll have your company again same time next week.
Farmview with Kieran O'Connor on WLR.
With GlanbiaConnect.com. Thousands of products in the palm of your hand.